Chad, thank you very much. And with that, we bring in Democrat Senator from Delaware, Chris Coons. He serves on the Foreign Relations and Judiciary Committees, both very powerful committees in the Senate. Senator, thank you very much. It's good to have you here. So you hear this back and forth that Chuck Schumer sort of got boxed in on this by AOC, who a lot of people think will try to primary him in the next round for his Senate seat. How do you see it?
Look, Martha, I see it the same way Congresswoman Dean does, who was just on your show a moment ago. My constituents care about their health care. They care about the big increases to health insurance costs that the Delaware Insurance Commissioner just filed and that the major health insurance companies in Delaware have just published. They're going to be charging starting next month. And that's because of changes the Republicans who control Congress made in the so-called Big Beautiful Bill. I don't have any constituents calling me about AOC's secret influence on the shutdown. What matters is how do we get out of this shutdown? And I think there's a clear path forward. The committee that I'm on that you didn't mention, but that I value a lot, and so if I could add it, I'd appreciate it, is appropriations. And on the Appropriations Committee, we passed by a big bipartisan margin a new health spending bill and a new defense bill, and the health spending bill rejected Trump's cuts to NIH, cuts to CDC, cuts to medical research.
Why not just pass the CR?
And I am urging...
Yeah, and then, you know, I think John Thune has said that there's a good faith effort to take up this healthcare issue, but
yes.
It seems that, you know, there is a lot of pressure, and it is political pressure, no matter how you want to look at it, to continue with this shutdown. Let me just play very briefly. This is John Thune last night addressing what you're talking about, and then I want to hear what your response to him is, Senator, please.
Sure.
I think a lot of these rank-and-file Democrats are looking for an off-ramp. The delusional, again, contortions they're going through to justify what they're doing on something that is, as you said, it's clean, it is nonpartisan, it is short-term, it has no gimmicks, we didn't put any partisan riders on it. I mean, this is something that should be a no-brainer.
Are rank-and-file Democrat senators looking for an off-ramp from this situation, Senator?
Rank-and-file Democratic senators, if that's, I will include myself in that group, are looking for a path forward where we reject some of Trump's deep cuts to health research and to health care, and that's what passing this health appropriations bill would achieve, and to negotiating a path forward on the ACA subsidies, on reducing the increase in health insurance costs. I discussed this with Senator Thune personally yesterday, and with Senator Schumer, and with a dozen other senators. I think we can find a path forward if folks are willing to negotiate in good faith for reversing the big costs for health care that Trump's decisions are imposing on the American people.
I see where you're coming from. So, but the question is, and let's put up this board, you have senators who voted for the same exact CR last time around. And then you have 3 of them who voted for this bill, Fetterman, Masto, and King from Maine, who are already on board this bill. So John Thune only needs a few people. He only needs to peel off a few Democrats to say that they will go along with this CR. Are you open to going along with the CR if you have what you feel is a strong enough assurance that this healthcare issue will be taken up on its own in good faith after the CR is released and people can get back to their jobs and, you know, the government can open up again?
So, Martha, I want a path forward where we reverse some of Trump's cuts to health care and we reverse some of the ways that health insurance costs are going through the roof. And that's what I'm looking for, is a good faith negotiation about how do we do that. Where John is right now, where Senator Thune is right now, is reopen the government and then we'll begin to talk. And what I'm saying, and many other Democratic senators who want us to appropriate, who want us to move forward, are saying is we need to have that clear commitment and plan first before we reopen. I recognize that a shutdown hurts our troops, our federal law enforcement, folks who work for the federal government all over our country and who are deployed overseas. But it is a bigger harm to the American people to allow Trump's cuts to health care to continue. We need a path forward together to change direction, to reduce prices, and invest more in Americans'
How
health.
many other
and I do
people-
think that's achievable.
How many other Democrats feel the way you do? And if I'm hearing you correctly, it sounds like you're saying that if you get the assurance that you can have the debate over this health care, which I would just remind people, these changes were made as part of the big, beautiful bill in order to cut spending. And, on the Republican side, they would say some waste from Medicaid spending, and to make sure that people who are able-bodied have to actually get a job in order to receive these benefits, all of that. So are you willing to sign the CR if you have that assurance? And how many other Democrats do you think will come along with you?
Martha, the issue that's right in front of us that is causing health insurance rates to go up in Delaware and every other state is the Obamacare or the
Subsidy.
Affordable Care Act subsidies.
Right.
That expire at the end of this year.
Correct.
So why do we have to deal with it now? Why can't we wait till December? Why can't we talk? Why can't we reopen the government and then talk? Because insurance companies have to set those rates now. So we need a path for reversing those cuts, for extending the Affordable Care Act subsidies, which only benefit Americans. And that is something I'm willing to negotiate about. But I'm not going to vote to reopen the government until I see a way that we can do that.
Joining us now, MSNBC congressional reporter Michael Schnell, NBC News White House correspondent Vaughn Hilliard, and Semaphore White House correspondent Shelby Talcott. Michael, any movement today?
Yeah, Katie, not really. Look, I will caveat that with the fact that both the House and Senate are out of session today in observance of Yom Kippur, the Jewish holiday, but still not a lot of action up here. We did hear from Speaker Mike Johnson and his leadership team a little bit earlier this morning, and they had stuck by the same talking points, arguing that the onus of this shutdown is on Democrats, and then the best way to reopen the government is to pass that House-passed continuing resolution that was crafted by Republicans. Listen to a taste of what Speaker Johnson had to say.
People say, why aren't you negotiating with Schumer and Jeffries? Because I quite literally have nothing to negotiate. There's nothing I can pull out of the bill that was a Republican priority to say, oh, we won't do that. Why don't you guys vote for it now? I don't have anything. I didn't put anything in it to send it over. I'm stunned. I'm stunned that they have decided to shut the government down and hurt people. It is on them 100%.
Now, Katie, we know that just agreeing to that Republican-crafted stopgap bill is a non-starter among the majority of Senate Democrats. Now, we are aware that some conversations are underway in a bipartisan fashion in the Senate about potentially finding an off-ramp to the current situation. We saw some of those huddles happening on the Senate floor yesterday. Senate Majority Leader John Thune said it was his understanding that they would continue today. But what that bipartisan off-ramp could be, that agreement to reopen the government, really remains elusive as of now. Now, what does the schedule for the next few days look like? The Senate is going to be back here in the Capitol tomorrow. They'll be holding a pair of votes, first on that Democratic-crafted stopgap that includes the Obamacare subsidies and other health care provisions. We're expecting that to fall short of the 60-vote threshold needed to move forward. Senate will also vote on that Republican-crafted stopgap again. Similarly, we expect that to fail as well. Then the path forward remains unlikely, though John Thune, saying this morning that he doesn't expect the Senate will remain in recess over the weekend, which, Katie, that means the shutdown could likely extend into next week.
Yeah, sounds like it. All right, so who is to blame for the shutdown, according to American voters? Here is a Washington Post text poll. 47% say Trump and the Republicans in Congress. 30% say Democrats in Congress. 23% not sure. This is 1,010 adults reached by text on October 1st. And then the other part of this, which is what this whole shutdown is about, these federal subsidies for health care. Here's what people say about that. 71% of the country wants to extend health care subsidies. 29% wants it ended as scheduled. It would end in January, and in some cases, premiums would triple to unaffordable highs for many Americans. Vaughn, where's the White House's head on that? Do these numbers stir them?
Apparently not. because we have not heard any indication that they have any intention of relenting. And I think if the president was worried about it, I don't think that he would have been so explicit as to welcome shutdowns. He's done it in the past, and then I think it's worth going back to just earlier this week. He has been very vocal, arguing that this is effectively, in some ways, an effective approach to cut down government. Take a listen.
We can do things during the shutdown that are irreversible, that are bad for them and irreversible by them, like cutting vast numbers of people out, cutting things that they like, cutting programs that they like. And you all know Russell Vought. He's become very popular recently because he can trim the budget to a level that you couldn't do any other way.
And so, well, you could say Capitol Hill, right, for a little analogy. They're figuring out how the restaurant should be run moving forward. In the meanwhile, Russ Vought and Donald Trump are in the kitchen with the active ingredients in deciding what to slice and dice here. And those two men are here meeting this afternoon to go through potential firings across agencies and potential cuts of projects. He's threatened 16 Democratic states, their green energy projects. He's threatened the tunnel that is being constructed here in New York, a subway transformation project. So there's a lot on the line. And frankly, until the government is reopened, the Office of Personnel Management, they sent out to agencies stating very specifically that the OMB director is the one who is empowered to determine which federal workers are accepted and able to work. And right now, they are making the case, the OMB director, that those who would be processing the firings are crucial workers and workers that should continue to work.
And Russ Vought has been dreaming about this since puberty, according to Utah Senator. Strange way to put it, but
what you're seeing here is Democrats win the message war through consistency and a bit of solidarity too, because Democrats from across the political spectrum, whether they're on social media, mainstream media, whether they go on more friendly networks or they go into the lion's den that is Fox News, they have a consistent message. We're defending healthcare. Trump's attacking healthcare. Like, that's really, and I know there's lots of other cogs in this massive, this massive scheme, but that's really one message that really matters, right? And the Republicans, it's the opposite, because on the one hand, they're trying to suggest the Democrats are shutting stuff down, but on the other saying, oh, because of this shutdown, we're happy, we're elated, we get to fire workers permanently. They're admitting they love the shutdown because it helps them push right-wing politics. That's what they're saying. If that's what they're saying in public, what do you think they're saying in private, right? Like, you know what I mean? They're admitting to you, the American people, they're admitting, we love this because we get to punish the working class. We get to take our boot and slam it down on the working class people of this country. That's what they're saying to you, right? And while also saying, oh, this is the Democrats' fault. Whereas the Democrats have a consistent message. And I think it's been delivered better by some people. I think, actually, sad as it is, the leadership's been the worst on this. Individual congressmen and senators, congresswomen and senators have been better at this. But the message is still coming through, I feel. That's why polling blames Republicans more than Democrats. But it's important to realize this, that with Trump taking this position, he is absolutely looking like the bad guy. And again, this idea, he's specifically cutting stuff for blue states. When the shutdown happened under Obama, correct me if I'm wrong, Obama did not use that as an opportunity to take revenge against states that voted against him. Because he was a president, like him or hate him, for the country. Trump's a president for his buddies.